trying to pick her up and saying, "Girl, you're thicker than a bowl of oatmeal."
Hey D, it's me, M1_account, aka XXXJ9. I stream speedruns of Cave Story a lot, so obviously I have a duty to talk about Haydee. I'd be letting down my stream regulars otherwise. Haydee is a possibly upcoming game by Haydee Interactive. It's a third-person shooter with a fairly heavy emphasis on puzzle solving. When I first saw the trailer for Haydee being astroturfed on 4chan, I immediately thought it was a joke of a game being pushed through Greenlight with sex appeal alone. I mean, God knows there are a lot of loser, spurglord, retard, nerd, beta idiots such as myself on the internet who actually find a wide-hipped, huge titty robot thing appealing, so much that they'll vote to greenlight it, based on the character design alone. But the issue isn't whether or not people are willing to greenlight it, the issue is whether or not they'll be willing to buy the game when it's actually released. There are plenty of games that are known for having gameplay that's merely decent, but attract a fan base nonetheless with its attractive characters, but these games are usually at least disguised as being feature-complete games. Turns out there's a playable demo. After playing it, my opinion has changed. My opinion is now that the game needs a lot of work, but the general idea of the game, even minus the main character, is solid. I have decided that this is a game I want to play, and I've seen several people, both in the surprisingly frequent 4chan threads and in the game's Steam discussion pages, who've had similar changes of heart. So basically, I want to make this video to let the few people who follow me know about the game, and also to talk about what I think could be improved about the game, and, like, having it in video form should make it easier to see what I'm talking about in my criticisms. Also, I'm deliberately ignoring the elephant in the room that is the player character's design until near the end of the video. Also, one thing to keep in mind is that the footage that I'm going to be showing of me playing is of the Greenlight demo version of the game, which I'm assuming is comparatively going to be a very, very early version of the game. On the Greenlight page, the devs themselves say, "Also, the game is not finished yet, sounds are to be replaced, models and textures are to be polished." Greenlight projects and early access projects and such get botched all the time, so of course keep in mind that the devs may never actually make the refinements they say they're going to, but they do say they're going to, and I mean, you know, if you think the textures on Haydee look kind of bad, that's why. Let me start by going over how the game is presented. Here is a bit of the one of the video trailers. And here are a few lines from the Greenlight page. No regeneration, use medkits. No checkpoints. Hardcore gameplay. You will fail. A lot. No hand-holding. This game won't tire to kill you. So you get the idea, yeah? The game is supposed to be XXX, hardcore XXX, but look at some more gameplay from the trailer. And here's some footage of me playing the game. I mean, this is like kind of slow, right? This is my first major point. Haydee is more of a puzzle game than an action game. Encounters with enemies are more spaced out than most shooters, and each encounter is often more about figuring out how best to deal with it than the player's aim and reaction ability and that kind of thing. In terms of platforming, there's not much there either in terms of testing the player's, like, physical abilities, their control over Haydee. The closest the game comes to that is making sure the player doesn't jump way too early, and, I mean, none of the jumps in the demo seem particularly hard to make as long as you're just a little bit cautious. The platforming in Haydee isn't meant to test the player's actual platforming skill, it's meant to essentially give the player puzzles to solve using their knowledge of what they can do with Haydee's movement. Between what I've seen in the trailers and what's available in the playable demo, I'm convinced that this game is not particularly action-oriented. The demo isn't, and the full game probably won't be. In fact, one of the developers themselves says, "It's Metroidvania. It has shooting, platforming, and puzzle, but it's none of these things. And it's really big." And that's fine. It's just more of an exploration and puzzle game. If you get murdered by a robot, just try again, adjust your tactics. No problem, right? Well, no. There is a problem. The game's save system. It flies right in the face of how this game's action elements mesh with the puzzle elements. I like the idea of consumable saves. You know, you use a save, it's gone. You can't save again until you find more. That's pretty hardcore, right? Except, like I said earlier, encounters with enemies are fairly spaced out, and these fast robots can kill you in an instant. Let me show you an example of a section from the demo. Here's the save point. Let's say I'm out of saves, or I want to hang on to them because I don't know what's coming in the future and I might need more saves later. So as you can see, I'm making my way through the world. There's some ammo here I need to step over and grab. I'm solving this puzzle, just, you know, getting through things. And then I come to this part. This part is pretty hard. I mean, it was hard to me at least. You have to do this, like, really right to not die. Because if you do, you're doing all that over again. In most games that limit the player's ability to save, as many do, care has to be taken in how the player is punished for dying. If the player dies in such a game, they have to replay content. In fun action games, this isn't really a problem for most players, since they're like re-experiencing parts of the game that are inherently fun for them to play. They're trying to get back to the boss without dying, and if they can succeed that, then they're trying to get back to the boss while taking as little damage as possible, maybe conserving items, that kind of thing. The thing that killed them isn't the only challenge, the run back is also a challenge and hopefully part of the fun. In Haydee, getting killed by a fast robot is just annoying because the run back is boring. Oh cool, I'm climbing up here more. I'm doing this puzzle again. I already know how to solve it. Wow, I got it right! This could be made less of a pain by just letting players use the save points infinitely. So if they make a little bit of progress and pick up a few items or solve a puzzle, they don't have to redo that stuff if they end up dying. To be clear, I don't think a good solution would be implementing quick save as some have suggested. The fact is, there's a really nice sense of tension when you're fighting the robots in this game a lot of the time, and you have to be at risk of losing some kind of progress when you're fighting them, or that's really going to detract from that intense feeling. That said, I still think it would be good to let players just infinitely use preset save points because there's really no reason to make players redo things like picking up a piece of ammo or re-solving a puzzle they've already figured out. I get that the devs are trying to make this a hardcore game, and I appreciate that. Believe me, I've enjoyed a lot of very hard, quote-unquote masochistic games. I'm having so much fun right now. Some of those games are better because they limit how the players save their progress. But as I explained in Haydee, it doesn't really make the game harder, it just makes certain parts more tedious. Maybe this changes in later parts of the game, you know, the demo just lets you explore the tutorial area and one real area, so maybe you're just expected to have saved up a ton of save things later in the game, but I can only go by what's available in the demo, so, you know. This issue is somewhat exacerbated by the fact that Haydee is slow as hell. Look at this. Your animation for landing from a drop makes you wait so long before you can just move again. I don't see why. Doesn't make the game any more fun. There's this weird looking pause in Haydee's climbing animation. Like, her animation is in two parts. I know why they did it that way, it's so you can look at her ass in this pose for as long as you want, and I mean, that's cool. I'm down for that, but it really slows things down, and if I'm mashing the spacebar, there shouldn't be such a long pause. One major complaint I have that comes from a small detail is the game's health indication system. This seems like just a Greenlight demo kind of thing, but currently the player's health is indicated by just making the screen red tinted. That's bad because it's annoying, but that's a pretty minor part of the issue. The real bad thing is you just don't have a good indication of how much health you actually have, or how much damage things do to you. I've played through the demo 4 times now, like recording footage and stuff, and the first 3 times I had the following happen. I would be missing a small amount of health near the beginning of the game, and later on I would encounter the fast robots and get one-shot by them. I was missing just enough health for them to one-shot me. Turns out if you're at full health, even on hardcore difficulty, they don't one-shot you, but I didn't even know that until I read as much from a forum post by one of the developers. I didn't even realize I wasn't at full health. I guess the red tint effect only happens if you're below a certain threshold? I don't know how it works, and that's the problem. A Steam forum user suggested using the light behind Haydee to indicate it. I think that would work fine. I mean, you know, a lot of different things could work, but there's got to be some better indication for how much health you've got. I mean, I get that Hadee's not meant to be a super complicated game where specific numbers really matter, but if it's the difference between being able to die in one hit or not, and the player doesn't know, that's a problem. And it will be a problem. You will take damage at some point because the fall damage in this game is silly. Seriously? I can take these drops in real life. Why can't this video game cyborg handle it? Really, it's no big deal. Players will take damage this way early on in the game, and then they'll have a decent idea from then on what the distance is for the rest of the game, but I just had to mention it because it's silly. The environment in Haydee is more cramped than in a lot of third-person games. It's usually not a problem because the camera's pretty close to Haydee by default anyway, right? But in some cases, especially when you're crawling through vents or other, like, small openings, the camera can become a pretty big issue. A solution I've come up with that is not so elegant or original, but effective nonetheless, is to make it so that when the camera gets within a certain distance of Haydee, she becomes transparent. I know in the final game she's going to look real good, and players are going to want to get a nice close look, so, you know, you can make it a toggleable option or something. Another potential solution is to implement a first-person mode. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a third-person game, so just make it like where you can't move or really do anything, but you can just look around in first person. Mario 64 did that. Probably some other games. Banjo-Kazooie, I think. Probably some other games. I don't know. I've never played a video game before. The camera has similar problems in this particular instance when trying to kill this robot, so it can be a pretty big deal. Fortunately, the demo includes a key to swap which side the camera is on, so obviously the devs have given some thought to how the camera should work, which is great, because even in the year of our Lord 2016, there are fully released AAA games that struggle with it. On the subject of visibility, the environment is pretty repetitive. Really, I don't mind. It's got a pretty big portal feeling going on, and I like that aesthetic. Plus, I don't really expect super extravagant environments from a small indie team, but I think some simple changes could be made to make some areas stand out more, because it has 2 actual practical effects. The first is that the players can get lost pretty easily. Games based on exploration often do involve players getting lost sometimes, and it's not a bad thing, but you don't really want people getting lost just because every room looks the same, you know? It looks like in some future areas of the game there's gonna be water and foliage, so that should help, but White City and Greentown from the demo looked pretty repetitive. Another thing is just that everything being white brick can make it a little hard to make out what you're looking at as far as the platforming goes. It's usually not a big deal, mostly because the game has pretty harsh lighting. That alone is enough to make things pretty clear. I only really had like 2 times in the demo where I was unsure about things, but it makes the fall damage problem worse, potentially. That's pretty much it as far as my criticisms. I could probably think of some more minor ones, but who cares? I like Haydee because the nice animations and the acceleration, pacing, whatever of her movement is generally nice. I like the puzzles. They're not hard so far, but that's fine. Not every game I play needs to be hard. I guess I just like them because they tend to be based on the structure of the environment and using platforming. I like the combat. The enemies acting the way they do in most games would be dumb, but they work in this game. I think it's due to a combination of enemy placement, the headshot mechanic, and the rate at which ammo is given out. Oh, and also Haydee's vulnerability. On hardcore, these things kill her in 2 hits max. I can see the full game having some pretty tense moments. Okay, time to talk about the real reason this game got people's attention. Haydee's design is pretty over-the-top sexual, and that's cool. Say what you want, but I'm a fan of, like, cartoonishly sexualized characters. Depending on the setting and the tone of the work, of course. Like, if you just put Samus in a bikini the entire game, I wouldn't like that, but you know, this is Haydee, and she's a cyborg. I don't have anything actually insightful to say about this topic since it's pretty much just subjective, but I don't know. For the record, I do think the devs know what they're doing as far as using Haydee's sexual design to grab attention for the game. It's just that I don't think that's all there is to the game. At first, I thought the design was kind of tasteless, and that was probably because of her human, or human-like, bottom half. There are quite a few people on the Steam discussion page wishing she just had straight-up robotic or somehow synthetic-looking legs. Makes sense to me. If you're gonna be the kind of degenerate who would rather look at a sexy robot than a sexy human, you want to go all the way, right? And the sheer contrast, I think, brings more attention to the sexualized aspects of the design, perhaps causing more people to dismiss the game as relying solely on sex appeal, as I almost did. There are a couple things that warmed me up to her current design, though. The first was an extremely important post on 4chan by one of the developers describing Haydee as a reverse mermaid, except, you know, a robot, not a mermaid. And I can't show you a screen cap of that because searching on Fireden is not working right now, so that's epic. The second is this fan art done by an artist I've been following for a while, Gynoid Herring. He tends to make robot or synth kind of characters with a fairly exaggerated style. Does a lot of not safe for work art, so warning on that. But yeah, Haydee done up in this less realistic style, it makes her look a bit less human, but still, she obviously has human-like legs. Done in this style, it just makes her design suddenly really interesting to me. As for her top half, I've got a pretty good idea for what inspired that design, and that is another not safe for work artist who has a focus on robots, an artist named Neurodyne. Here are a few bits of some of his works from well before Haydee was around. Actually, in the middle of making this video, I found out he acknowledged the similarity and even did up this thing showing his ideas for her final design, so that's cool. Anyway, like I said, I'm a pretty big fan of her design at this point. Not for the retarded reason you think, but I just think she's actually cool. The blatant mix of robotic parts and human parts that are exaggerated in their proportions is just cool to me. Since the devs have shown some flexibility, saying they're open to minor changes if people have ideas about her design, I just want to put my viewpoint out there. Something to make her bottom half a little less human without having to stray from their idea of reverse mermaid might please a lot of people. To give a more specific example, the main problem I currently have, the only problem actually, is the heels. I think they're stupid. I think an easy peasy fix is to give her kind of robotic looking feet like this. This way you could keep the same animations that she currently has with the heels, but have her not have heels. And it would also serve to, like I said, make her seem a little bit less human. So yeah, that's how it is. Haydee might end up being a good game, might not end up even getting done, who knows. So many games don't. That's it. I don't know why I made this video.